All right. I don't have class today, so I figured I would do something in addition to the daily challenge. And what better thing to do than AI Gen Paraguay? Play a couple games, explain how I'm region guessing, very pretty clouds, region guessing these countries, this country, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So first up, we have a western driving road through a pretty agricultural landscape. We have corn stalks here. Um, And yeah, so west driving, we're driving into the sun, which is important, and we're on a cobblestone, I would call it cobblestone road. So this is pretty niche, but first of all, if you have a west driving road, I'm hesitant to call this a highway, but it is a big road on the map. If you have a western driving road through agricultural stuff, you're either usually going to be on the 21 or you're going to be on the 10. And the way to differentiate them is that the 21 drives into the sun, which I remember, and the 10 drives away from the sun. The way I remember that is 21 rhymes with sun, so it drives into it, 10 doesn't, drives away from it. Another way to remember is that the where the 10 started its coverage, coincidentally enough, it was about 10 a.m. Shout out to Emily's Pano date resolver tool. And so yeah, since it was 10 a.m. Eastern Sun, which means it's opposite of the western driving direction. The other thing to say about this round is that the 21 has a section in the middle, pretty large section, which is this weird cobblestone instead of normal pavement. So, it starts here, a lot of normal pavement, and then can I remember where? I think it might start in Itakiri, something like that, however you pronounce it. The cobblestone, and I think it goes until I think it maybe goes all the way until out here. But anyway, beyond that, you can just try to line something up, which can always be tough in Paraguay. But yeah, you see those have to me those have the same road angle on the map. I could have zoomed in to try to find buildings and stuff. But that's not really the spirit of this video. Buildings are really useful for region guessing Paraguay. But yeah, I guess as you can see, okay, the cobblestone's actually a shorter section than I remembered in the middle. I think it's the cobblestone on the PY10 that's much longer. Yeah, it is. Not much longer, actually. It's about the same distance. If I've even fully tagged this. Well, kind of. But anyway, pretty good guess. A couple useful things there. Here we have a pretty interesting one because we have a Formosa vibe, is what I would call this. And by that I mean we have a lot of these Carandé wax palms that you get in the Formosa region of Argentina. And we have a southeast driving highway. The road angles, driving direction is always like one of the first things you should think about in this country. But then we also have a lot of elevation, which is really interesting. So, I mean, just to run through like the vibes, the places with Formosa vibes, the roads, the 9 running from Asuncion all the way up to end of coverage here, lots of Formosa palms and stuff. The 19 drives northeast, but as you might expect, since it's in the Paraguay River floodplain next to Formosa, lots of the same thing. But then those two roads I just mentioned, never any elevation. It's extremely flat. Here's a terrain map of the country. You can see how flat it is in the west. Anything that borders Argentina should be dead flat. So then you ask yourself, well, what can have some elevation plus this Formosa vibe? First of all, the 1 in certain places can. Like up here, there should be some elevation. Yeah. That it's probably not always easy to see on the map, but it can occasionally have Formosa vibes. I wouldn't associate the 1 with Formosa, but occasionally it can have Formosa palms. The other thing that comes to mind is that the 22 all the way up here, I believe, drives southeast, but it also has some, as you can see, some hills to the south, which is, I believe, what we were looking for. Yeah, southeast. So I might just think it's this road angle. Does it curve to the north up there? It does. Are there buildings here? There are. Looks like industry. Can't really see if there's a hill to the northwest, like, or to the west. It doesn't really show up on the map for me. Maybe it should. And then the southeast, we do see hills like this. I mean, I don't hate this lineup. Probably could be worse. Let's try it. Okay, we had the right stretch of road, so that's good. Yeah, not much more to say about that round. It's sort of just like process of deduction with the combination of hilliness and Formosa vibes. You just kind of got to learn the hard way. Or through my doc that will, I promise, come out soon, that like this north section of the PY22 just has Formosa palms a lot. Not really so much as you get down like here, for example. Macaw palms, much different vibe as you can tell, but for whatever reason, all the way up here, there's just lots of Formosa palms. Okay, this is a fun one. We should be on the 6, I would say. And I say that because we have a very agricultural vibe. Soybean fields, which are these very neat rows of short, level green crop. We have the sort of rolling, soft agricultural hills that you expect pretty much all in eastern Paraguay. And I suppose importantly, we're driving north. And so the 7, for example, drives south, 6 drives north, kind of like a clockwise circle. The other thing about the 7, which by the way only drives south when you're south of the PY2. When you go north of the PY2, it drives north. Easy to remember in that sense, but the 7 for its entire stretch has the dented truck, and I suppose by the dented truck I'll show you dented trucks, and you can see you're driving south. And so this sort of like pretty large highway that's agricultural should always pretty much be the 6. And then beyond that, it's just lining up a road angle, which is something that I'm not really gonna care about too much for the purposes of this video. But yeah, I mean, northwest is like a little bit rare on this road. And so it could be pretty findable, but oh well. Which way did this curve? It curved to the north anyway. I suppose there's a world in which this isn't the 6. This is the other thing about Paraguay, is like you can just look at for road angles, and there's so many straight sections of road that you can kind of rule stuff out if you just don't find a road angle. I'm pretty confident this is 6 somewhere. I think I'm just not seeing the road angle, which is fine. I would kind of like to keep this video moving, so I'm going to look for something that at least isn't the dumbest send in the world. Yeah, no, let's just go for it. Oh, we had a little bit of spill coverage. Oh, okay, so I mean, yeah, that was a lucky guess, I will say. I confused those 2 roads. It's true that the 6 drives north through that agricultural vibe, but it's also true that the 10 drives west-ish through the agricultural vibe, but you can see how sometimes the road becomes more of a northwest kind of vibe, or northwest angle, which is why it didn't cross my mind. I just figured we were driving so north that it was probably just a road angle on the 6. Same truck, same vibe. Got a little lucky there, but we'll take it. Here we have a fun one. We are on an unpaved road and driving north with this blur. We have some organ pipe cacti. But really what I am going to say here is that unpaved roads are like pretty common and pretty uncommon in Paraguay if you're on what feels like a highway like this. Like, this isn't just a random residential road, right? Which a lot of them are unpaved. This is like an actual highway. And that's rare. So that narrows it down massively. Like here, I'll just show you. Um, Let me deselect some of these. Unpaved road. Pretty rare. And so you really just you get it a lot out in the northwest and then just kind of randomly around. But the thing about this is that um, like what am I trying to say? It's very undeveloped, and that should immediately make you think it's out in the northwest somewhere. And the northwest has a lot of this like weird front blur type thing. Here I'll show you. Like these two roads, for example, are a really good example. Kind of hard to see, I suppose, but the front does have like a pretty noticeable blur, and that does extend also out onto the 16. And on the 16, which does continue south via Choferes, with a totally different vibe. Sorry, I need more coffee this morning, but basically the 16, if you have a northern road on an unpaved road through a very undeveloped vibe, this should really be your first thought. And obviously we can see the road angle lines up. And funnily enough, like you get a lot of these organ pipe cacti just on this stretch, just on this road. Like it's the only place I found it in all of Paraguay. It does have the front blur too. And this road is always a little bit annoying to get when I'm trying to 25K. Like really sweat by looking at buildings and pinpointing in that way. Just because there's no buildings and it's a very straight road, so you kind of just have to like click in the middle, and hope for the best, which is what I'm gonna do here. See, like that's a 4325, even though I knew the exact stretch of road. Like it's just a little bit sad to get. And here we have kind of an interesting round to end because there's a slightly different vibe that I think I'm catching onto that is kind of tough to see, but it does feel a little bit more like wetlandy to me. Like this grassiness is not really consistent with what you'd want to graze cattle on, and like there's a lot of grazing just sort of in like the center of the country. And what this sort of wet vibe gives me, very sandy vibe, it tells me that we're probably in the floodplains of a big river, whether the Paraná River or the Paraguay River. And this is just sort of something you might learn when you play enough of this game, or of this country. But like the 19, it really rarely has any off road. So like for example, you're not just gonna stop off in Via Oliva and like drive this road, for example. Like they just didn't do that for whatever reason. And so what I would probably say this is somewhere down in the Prana floodplain. And the 20 itself is unpaved for pretty much the whole stretch. And so that's definitely a big candidate here. The other option is that we're just in like one of these, like a road off one of these bigger cities that's covered, like this, for example. Could even be in Santa Rosa or San Ignacio, like in the outskirts, but it usually feels a little bit more developed out there. So I'm just gonna say that we're somewhere on the 20. Already lost my ability to break my record in this country, so I'm not gonna care too much about the road angle, especially since I'm not even sure that it's this road. But yeah, I don't see anything that's like a great road angle. I don't really see any bends in the road, but yeah, let's just maybe settle this and see how it goes. Oh, we were right on the spot somehow. I guess that was the only road angle that sort of looked good, but for some reason it wasn't clicking in my head. But yeah, it's a pretty good score. We had some good stuff, a good variety of stuff to look at. So this is a really good road to know. The 22 can be pretty tough. I think the only reason I got it was because there was elevation. Otherwise, I might have confused it with something else. A lot of mountains or big hills up there. Um, 21, that was really a fun one because we had the cobblestone to help us read and guess that road. This was really lucky. I didn't deserve this score at all. It easily could have just been like out here on the 10 and I would have gotten like 3,000 something. Um, this one, I don't know if it was lucky or not. I think I just caught the right vibe, what was doubting myself. But yeah, I suppose that's an example of what this country might look like once I share my dock with y'all and you get to sort of be able to just know roads like that. Like I think I knew 4 out of the 5 roads and should have known this one. Yeah, that's what Paraguay learning is about. It's just road learning simulator. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you learned something, you should subscribe because you can be on the lookout for my Paraguay doc, which I don't know if I can pull that up right now, just to give you sort of a sneak peek, because I use Chrome for my Google Drive stuff, but let's see. Let's just view. Oh, let's sign in. Okay. Well, I'll save it for now, but it's a 60-page doc. It just goes through all the big roads in the country. Um, and yeah, subscribe if you want to be on the lookout for that. I'll have some couple of videos just literally going through the doc and explaining what I try my best to explain in words in the doc. Yeah, but until then, I guess I'll see you later for a daily challenge.